see that because I have my glasses on.
Thank you. All right. The reason for holding these debates is so that the audience and the voting members can hear the candidates for their votes. What we're starting out with is each candidate is going to have 1 minute to introduce themselves to you. Then I will read questions, and the candidates have chosen numbers for the audience for the order in which they're going to start. We ask that you hold your applause. I'm sure you understand that because it's a timed event. And so we'll get started. And the first person to speak is Mrs. Jessica Donau Crehan. Did I get it right? No.
Hi, my name is Jessica Donau-Grahin. I've been a proud member of the community of Saddlebrook for over 25 years. I'm also a graduate of Saddlebrook High School class of 2002. I'm a lifetime member of the Saddlebrook VFW Post 3484. I've also served on the Saddlebrook High School PTO for 5 years, 2 of those being the PTO president. I have served on the Saddlebrook Little League board and also volunteer my time throughout the season while cheering on my 11-year-old son. My other son, who is 9 years old, can also be seen entertaining the world with his smiles and stories, and recently now playing on the soccer field. I'm running for the Saddlebrook Board of Ed to believe that every parent deserves a chance to be heard. I am here to advocate my time for the children, and I am running to bring back the change and a sense of community to the Saddlebrook School District. Thank you.
Thank you. Gracious. The next speaker is Mrs. Torbick.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm a 21-year resident of Saddlebrook. I've been married for 23 years. I have one daughter who recently graduated from Saddlebrook and is now up at University of Connecticut. I received a bachelor's degree in psychology from New Jersey City University and a master's degree from Seton Hall. I've had the unique opportunity to work in all of the schools here in district as a paraprofessional and a substitute teacher, and I've also covered one of our guidance counselors here in the high school for her maternity leave. I've been an involved parent since my daughter was in kindergarten, as a PTO secretary and president at Smith, class mom, treasurer and vice president of parent organizations here at the high school. I've sat on multiple committees such as the school climate committee and the pandemic response team. I can bring to the board a wealth of experience in special ed services from both a professional and personal experience. My daughter is a brain tumor survivor, and obtaining the proper
Finish the sentence.
services she needed upon her return to school was frustrating as a parent.
Thank you. We're limiting everybody to 1 minute, and that's what this is all about. Okay. Now, Mrs. Let's see if I can do this. Sycamatellis.
That's good.
Okay, you're on.
Good evening. Thank you to the PTO for hosting tonight and to the League of Women's Voters for moderating, and thank you all for joining us. My name is Emily Scamatellis, and I'm a 10-year resident of Saddlebrook. I am married to my husband, Doug, and have 2 children that I'm a proud mom to, both of whom attend Saddlebrook schools, one in the elementary and one in middle school. I'm a chef by trade and furthered my education at Pace University and FIT. Prior to starting my own business, I was operations manager for a major apparel manufacturer. As a committed volunteer within our district since 2013, I've served as a class parent. I've sat on hiring committees and on the PTO board where I collaborated with local companies and was granted a reading level library for Smith School. Currently, I am the president of the Educational Foundation and continue to strive to better the learning experience of our children and provide support for our teachers. I look forward to answering your questions tonight, and if my nerves don't get the best of me, I hope to provide you with an understanding of my perspective. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Okay. We are up to Mr. Quinn.
Hi, I'm Steve Quinn. I've been a board trustee for the past 9 years and a resident of Saddlebrook for over 20 years. I have an MFA in directing and acting in theater and a bachelor's degree in design and technology. 10 years kind of overlapping with that, I coach rec sports, including lacrosse, football, baseball, softball, boys and girls basketball, and track, to name some of them. This is the first time in over a decade that our school district has the chance to have 6 years of continuous academic and curricular advancement. This is an exciting time, and it's also a very critical time for our school district. We really need to make sure we take full advantage of this opportunity so that our students can start to have the academic achievement that they truly deserve. That is why I'm running again. Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. Mrs. Traverso.
Can you hear me?
No,
It's on, but it keeps.
bring it closer to you.
Can you hear me now? Okay, thank you. Sorry. Good evening, everyone. I think most of you here in the building do know me, and hopefully a lot of people that are at home watching also know me, but my name is Haley Traverso. I'm a 30-year resident of Saddlebrook with 24 years of PTO involvement, including 7 years of holding officer titles and 2 years on the county level. 4 of my children have completed their education here, and my youngest is a freshman in high school. My granddaughter is a second grader in Long Memorial. I'm a criminal justice and education professional that uses my leadership skills and knowledge to give back to the community. As a certified mediator and negotiator, I have the ability to assist with decision-making, not only by listening, but hearing all that is said and present possible solutions. My goals are to ensure that all of our children have a safe, meaningful, and productive educational experience. And with the recent turn of events of our administrative level, I hope to go forward in that direction. My personal and professional advocacy for holding special education to its standards for each individual and qualified student goes back 20 years. I am here to hold the hands of those that need my assistance in any area that's necessary. To meet and exceed those goals, we need to focus on what our teachers need, whatever it concerns salaries, necessary tools, or being valued and recognized on a daily basis. Without these necessities, our teachers will lack.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Now we're coming to the questions that have been posed. Oh. I
You
beg your
could
pardon.
skip me.
Mrs. Sitco Matella.
No, she spoke already.
No, Regina Borelli.
Okay.
I'm going to try to speak quick to beat this time clock here, so
I
Wish
beg
me
your
luck.
pardon.
okay. Good evening, and thank you to the League of Women's Voters and to the Saddlebrook PTO for hosting this Meet the Candidates night. I am really excited to run for the Board of Education. As a parent of 2 children who attend Saddlebrook High School, I have lived in Saddlebrook most of my life and have volunteered as recreation coach, also on Little League, on the board, and also Saddlebrook Library Board, and currently on the Saddlebrook Planning Board. I previously served on the Saddlebrook Board of Education for 6 years. I've been in education since kindergarten. I can't recall a time I was not actively involved in a school district. I was a teacher for 20 years and then supervisor of curriculum and instruction, and now I'm a building principal for the past 6 years. My educational background is a master's in special ed, and I also have educational leadership as well as a PE and health teacher. My goals, if elected, are always to do what's best for the students. I will insist upon clear, open, and frequent communication, and my time is up.
Thank you.
I got halfway through.
My apologies. Okay. So, as I said, we have questions from the audience or from the, okay. From people in town, I'm told. Okie dokie. So the first question we're going to ask is, some of the candidates are saying that there needs to be change on the board. What specifically, in regard to the culture and core values, do you feel needs to change? And how would you bring about positive change? And since I did this before, we'll go to Mrs. Sikomatalis.
Hi, okay.
You have
Well,
a minute.
Okay.
We can.
Well, the change that we need to start, first of all, I believe, is to start getting some stability in the district. We need to, I believe, maybe remove the Band-Aids and just let the wounds heal that we have and start to work together, bring everybody together to understand that we're all different interacting components. And the only way that the district is going to move forward is if we all work together. I also believe that we should focus on making sure that all our teachers and children feel valued when they walk in. At this point, the parents are alienated, and it'd be nice to just bring everybody together so that everybody works together, because we all have one goal, right? Which is to make sure that our children are successful and prepared for the world that's ahead of them. Thank you.
All righty. Mrs. Donna Crehan?
So I think that one of the major changes that need to happen on the board is I feel that there's no unity happening at this time in our district. I find that there is a lot of different aspects of communication happening, and I feel that if I'm elected onto the board, my one goal that I choose to have is unity to happen. I find that there is everybody's opinion is different, but everybody can respect each other. And I find that there's a lack of respect happening on our board right now. And what happens is that it chooses to portray out into the audience and out into our district. And what has to happen, I find that needs to change, is the respect that goes into our parents and into our community, which will better for our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Borelli?
Okay. Well, being on the board in the past, I know firsthand the experience that you have to go through. And it is sometimes very difficult to voice your opinion when you can't in a public forum. A lot of discussions are behind closed doors where they're supposed to be, especially if they're about personnel or staffing issues or something that is a hot topic. You're not always going to agree, but the important thing is that you stay focused and you stand for what you believe in. And also, you need to hear the community. Saddlebrook has a lot of pride and in the school culture, and we relate to our stakeholders in our community, and we have to listen to them, and we have to do our best that we can to speak on their behalf. And I'm on stop.
Finish the sentence.
Just listen to the public and voice your opinion to what's in the best interest of our students.
Thank you. Mr. Quinn?
Yes, thank you. Well, I'm one of the current 9 board members. And we need to keep stability. That's one of the things that I'm talking about as far as a great opportunity right now. We need people who understand education and are going to work as their biggest effort to achieve true student success. We quite often will get on in tangents, and I think that's not good. We need to listen to the community. We always can do better on that. But board members can't use it to trash talk administrators or teachers on the outside just because they disagree with something. We also have to keep confidential matters confidential. That is why they're confidential, for the best of the district. If you have dirty laundry, you don't get it clean by hanging it up and yelling and screaming about it. You get it clean by washing it and making it work better and cleaner. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Traverso?
I wish I could just say ditto, because everybody had some wonderful answers there. And I'm just going to add on. I'm sorry. Is it working now?
Yeah.
Sort of.
You want mine?
Here, hold on. Does that work? Okay, I got it. Thank you. Okay, so I wanted to add on to that. we're not a dictatorship. And again, I'm going to use transparency, very similar to some of the things that have been said here, that our parents are the ones that we need to make happy at the lower level. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Our parents want to see our kids bloom in all aspects, academically, socially, so forth and so on. And we need to get them to trust us. We need to get them to be here. We need to get them in the seats here. It's not just about, let's watch it live stream and see what we can do. You don't have that option to then speak up. Sending in emails is great, but so we need to get them to trust us. I think that's my main thing right now. And we need to have leadership from all of us, not from one person to say, let's do it my way. And I think that's some of the concerns and stuff that was going on out there, and it's unfair. Like I said, I think I mentioned in my opening statement, we have a newer administrative level now. I'm sorry.
Finish the sentence.
Okay, I should say we have a new administrator, and I think that's going to take us in the right direction as well.
Thank you. All righty. What do you see? What do you see as, did I do it again? Huh? Okay.
I mean, really, if you don't want
I don't know what I'm doing here. I have you down as, all right, Mrs. Torberg.
Yes. Something's okay. Again, as Haley said, I think that everybody's really kind of hit on some important things. And just to come off of that, I think that trust is a big part of it. And I think that one of the ways we can get the parents to trust us more is to listen to them and really understand what it is that they like or are having troubles with, and do everything we can do to help them with those things. I also think on the board itself, the members of the board, we have to respect each other. We're not always going to agree. We're different people with different backgrounds and different experiences, but we have to be able to listen to what other people are saying and figure out a way to come together and do what's best for the kids. And that's really important. I think that's the most important thing.
Thank you. The school budget accounts for 60% of our property taxes. I think everyone can agree that educating our children is a top priority. But what would you do to ensure that the tax dollars are spent effectively and efficiently? Mr. Quinn.
I'm sorry, could you read that one more time?
Yeah, that was a long one.
The story is they want to know how efficiently the tax dollars could be spent, given that this is the largest amount of the town's budget.
Okay, thank you. That was easier than the long version. I know a lot of people don't believe this in this town, but our budget is very efficient, and we squeeze every dollar we possibly can out of it. There's a lot of things that eat a lot of our budget. The majority is salaries, insurance, and bills like electric, gas, and all of that to keep the buildings running that we have no choice in. We are constantly, every year, trying to find ways to minimize the about 5% of our budget that we actually can do something with. For a long time, we were barely actually being able to make it. We just, I think about a year ago, got to a point where we can consider ourselves financially solvent. That is a great place to be. We don't have a lot of money. We don't have any excess money, but we actually have money to start investing in the things we need to as a district to get student achievement to truly move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. Mrs. Traverso.
Not having been behind the scenes, on the Board of Ed, I think it's a little bit, it's a question that can be answered just by somebody like Mr. Quinn, of course, because he's been around for a long time. So I just think that, I mean, as Mr. Quinn said, he said that a lot of it is going to teachers and staff and all that. And I think that's our goal, because without having the respect and the tools and the knowledge and the recognitions of the teachers, then our kids don't get anything. And I don't mean that in a harsh way, because we have some great teachers. We need to keep those teachers here. The longevity is very important. And if we can't continue to give them the top raises or the top tools, whatever's necessary, then I don't know what we can do. But again, without being behind the scenes, I don't have, the knowledge as to where those funds are going yet. And that's something I hope to learn and hope to be able to help going forward.
Thank you, Mrs. Barali.
Okay, having again been on the board previously, I do understand the constraints of a budget. And programs is really what's unfortunately cut in the end. And honestly, I think we need to really start putting our money towards ensuring that our special education students get the needs that they want and need, the services to their disabilities, the career and technical education has to come around better, professional learning, technology and connectivity. Just recently, every school district received funding from the CARES Act, which is a significant amount of money. About approximately 14 billion was given to the Office of Post-Secondary Education as the Higher Education Emergency Relief. So I would like to know where that money is being spent, because it is in a significant amount, and I hope it is going towards these important programs and issues we have.
Thank you. Mrs. Torbett.
Sorry, it was already on. I have to say that when I was on the board the last time, that this was one of the things that I found I was most enlightened on, I think, having been a parent and not been privy to that, and then sitting in the meetings and learning about the budget. I think that sometimes we don't realize just how many things we have to figure out how to pay. I think that's the easiest way to say that. Having said that, and I know we've already said it here at one point, how much of that budget is already set for things that we can't, they have to be paid, salaries, keeping the buildings on, and I believe Mr. Quinn said. But I think we have to start to think outside the box to be able to continue to do the things that Mrs. Barali was talking about, some of these newer programs, keeping our special ed students here in town and getting those programs in place for them, having more options for our students, whether they're college bound or work bound or whatever it is that they want to do in life. I think we need to really look at that.
Thank you. Mrs. Sikamatalis.
Well, as parents, we don't get to see everything that,
In the mic.
as parents, we don't get to see, I think, all the decisions making, especially for the small amount, the percentage of the budget that there's a discretion to figure out where they're going to be spending the money. But I think that strong fiscal management and true transparency of the budget is what the taxpayers need to see, so that they know where the money is being spent. And through that transparency, you'll be able to start realizing where excessive spending is being done or not enough spending, and maybe adjust the budget there.
Thank you. Mrs. Donna Crehan? Am I anywhere near? Because
You're getting there. It's okay. I think my opinion right now is that our budget at the moment is the best that our district has been at in quite some time. And I agree with Emily in a sense of that with the transparency. I think that the parents would see that we are at a level of being pretty much at a balance that we haven't been at in quite some time. But there should be more spending on special needs for our district in areas of special education, and furthermore of life coaching for children of special education in those aspects. I think that moving forward, once we get a little bit more ahead, and I feel that our district can do that with where we are at with our budget in the near future, I think that that could be something that we can get to with our district. Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. Now, hopefully, I've gotten everybody, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, what do you see as the primary work of the Board of Education? Let's start with Mrs. Borelli.
I apologize. I did not hear the question. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry?
I did not hear the question. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Oh, I'm sorry. What do you see as the primary work of the Board of Ed?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry, I didn't speak into the mic. If I tell you guys to do it, I better do it too. All right, Mrs. Borelli?
Well, the primary work is to represent the concerns of the citizens, taxpayers, and parents to the school administration. Represent the needs of the students and the school district to the citizens, taxpayers, and community, and parents. You do not operate on a day-to-day basis of what's going on in the business, and then you set really policies, goals, and objectives for the district. It holds the superintendent responsible for implementing the policies and achieving these goals. So there are more than just one primary, but I would say also to listen to the concerns of the citizens and the school community and bring that to the table and see and problem solve what we can do to make it work better for our students.
Thank you. All right, Mrs. Sycamatalis.
Thanks. I agree with Regina, but I also believe that one of the primary goals of the board is to set the culture and the policies that reflect the community. And it should also reflect the goals that the community with the administrators want to reach for our children. Thanks.
Thank you. Mrs. Dono Crehan.
I have to say that I agree as well, that our job as the Board of Education is to be a voice for the parents. We are the voice for the children, and our job is to implement the best practices for our community and for our district. We're here to advocate for all the children in this district. We are here to listen, we're here to be a voice, and we're here to help implement the best practices for the teachers, for the students, for the community itself, and to help find the best teachers, because that's our job as to when we're implementing the I'm sorry. That's why I apologize. I was staring. For when we're doing contracts for the teachers, our job is to find the best of the best for those. We're here to be the voices for you and to make sure that we have to make sure that it's like what Mr. Quinn was saying, we want to be the best, and that's what we're going to do for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Torbett.
Okay. Well, I have to agree with a couple of people that just spoke.
In the mic.
I'm so sorry. So sorry. Because I have actually the same things written down that everybody just said. So now I'm kind of like, I think that we have some specific roles as a board that we are supposed to do. And I believe it was said one of those is not the day-to-day things that go on within the school. But I think it is important that we listen to what all of the parents have to say and that we bring that in and talk about that. But it's important that we find a balance between that and make sure that we're not overstepping what we're supposed to do either, because that's also important to how the school runs.
Thank you. Mrs. Traverso.
I think it's important to make sure everybody understands that there's a real genuine interest, a sincere interest in improving our district, all of our schools. And to do that, they need to understand the needs of all of our children, whether they are special needs children, talented and gifted children, the average child. And again, to do that, let's get under those teachers. Let's get on them. Let's look at them. Let's give them notice and show them that we care about them, give them the tools that they need, and take it from there. Because I think with that, those teachers are going to help us. And to, again, listen to our parents, listen to the community. Obviously, you can't tell them yes, we're doing it, no, we're not. We will take their information the best we can and bring it back to the public, bring it back to the board.
Thank you. Mr. Quinn?
Yes, the board's role is to oversee the district as representatives of the community to ensure that it is run well. We also approve the budget, make policy, and do planning for the district. That is one of the reasons we are doing a strategic plan this year. I hope all of you get involved. It is a critical part where the whole community comes forward to say what they want their school district to do over the next 5 or 10 years. We've been trying to do this for a few years. However, there's been a lot of issues. We're finally going to be doing it this year. As far as the budget goes, Mr. Crotty gives a budget overview every year. We rarely have many people here. When he does it this year, let's fill this whole auditorium so everybody can see what's going on with the budget. Going back with the technical schools, it was a large part of the discussion at our last county school boards meeting. Everybody is concerned about this issue, and we are trying to find a way to improve it. I don't know what that is going to lead to, but we are trying.
Thank you. All righty, here's a nice controversial thing. Do you believe or do you agree with the current mask mandate for staff and students in the schools? If we get to a place where the governor places the decision in the hands of the district again, do you believe it should be the parents' choice, or do you believe in mandatory masking for all? Let's start with Mrs. Traverso.
I think it's a personal decision. I also think it's a very political question that probably should not be brought out to the Board of Ed,
Yeah.
because it's never going to become a decision on the Board of Ed's part. If the governor mandates it, the governor mandates it. Things like that. Could we converse with our superintendent and say, here's how we feel? Of course we can. But we know that the answer is going to come from someone higher up than we are. We're not the doctors and we're not the scientists.
Thank you. Mrs. Sikomatalis.
I believe all of COVID was pretty political, not just that question. But if the governor mandates something, we have no choice but to follow the mandate. Should that mandate be lifted and masks are optional, then I think that would be something that the board would have to discuss with the administration and make it a personal choice for parents. If you feel safe and you don't want to wear a mask, they don't have to wear masks. If they feel unsafe and you believe the mask protects you, then you should wear a mask. And no one should be able to stop them. At that point, as long as it's not mandated, I think it should be a personal choice.
Thank you. Mrs. Borelli.
Personally, I think, Mom, sorry. Personally, I think that if the parent makes the decision that they feel that their child doesn't need to wear it, I think that should be up to them, basically, because, you don't know the history of their health. And if the governor mandates it, then we all have no choice but to do it. However, we've been on both ends of the spectrum here in the school district. It's optional, it's up to the district, it's up to the governor. But as a parent, for me, I want to do what's most comfortable for my daughter and son in a learning environment. And if they're sick, I'll keep them home. That's what you're supposed to do. So if you practice safety and you follow the guidelines of your program that you have in your school, your restart and recovery, you should be able to follow along with what's needed to keep you safe and the children and the staff as well.
Thank you. Mrs. Torvik.
I think we've kind of touched on everything there. I mean, obviously, if it's mandated, we have no say. We have to follow what the mandate says. And I think that if it was to be lifted, that I have to agree that I think the parent has to have the right to do what they think is right for their child. Like many things, I don't believe I have the right to tell you what to do with your body or what you want to do. And I think that that would have to come and play here, and that it would have to be up to the parents as to whether they were comfortable enough for their child to wear a mask or not.
Thank you. Mrs. Dona?
So I personally am not a fan of the mask mandate in school, but you also have to pick and choose your battles. And in the situation that we have for the mandate, I think that it's become such a political situation that it causes such an over outburst of, you can see it on TV, you can see the situation, that I feel that, and I agree with what's been said, that if it becomes a mandate, it's to be done, we wear the mask, we move forward from it. If it becomes an option and we give it to, and then yes, if parents choose to have it, I agree with what Ms. Torbic said. If a parent chooses to have their child wear a mask, that's for their choice, not for mine. But again, like I said, it's become this over politicalized situation. And like I said, you pick and choose your battles. And in this situation, that for us as a board, I wouldn't say that it's for us to make a decision if it's mandated by the governor. So.
Thank you. Mr. Quinn?
Yes, well, like many things in public education, I'm not sure the local boards will ever be given control of that decision. Individual board members, if it does come to that, have no authority to do anything. If the majority of the board decides it, and all members should follow and support whatever the majority of the board members decide. As far as COVID and masks, as a board member, I'm not responsible for just one child. It's not just my child or her child or her child. We're responsible for all 1,700 plus children in our district, plus all the teachers and staff and every person that works in our district. So you have to think on a larger scale and protect everyone, not just one or two people in individuals. My job, I would follow the science, and I would fight to follow whatever science is available and what they're saying at that time, and make the best educational choice I can for the welfare of every single person in this district. Because when it comes down to it, that's who matters, and I want to keep everyone safe.
Thank you. All righty. Excuse me. Do you believe that teachers should have a greater input or voice in district decisions that impact their work and their students? If so, what do you support? Mrs. Similakis. Sikamatalis. Sorry.
I think that teachers represent a lot of the decision making, should represent a lot of the decision making, especially with our children. I think the way to involve them more is maybe more roundtable discussions where different topics with whether it's special ed or after school activities or in classroom supports, if we start having some more roundtable discussion, include the parents, more activities, then maybe we'll get a better insight of what they see in the classroom and what the parents see at home, and then together just collaborate together and do what's best with the children.
Thank you. Mr. Quinn.
Yes, I think personally teachers should be treated and respected for the professionals they are. No other professionals anywhere in the world get oversawn, treated, and told how and what to do like teachers do. It's ridiculous. And we have gotten to a point where between all of the different amounts of paperwork that they have to go through just to show that they're doing their job, it's redundant and it's hurting our teachers, and we're losing teachers due to it. So I support the teachers. I think we have great professionals here, and I think they will do a great job doing their job if politicians in the state of New Jersey got out of the way and they were allowed to just do their job. They need the support of the administration, but they don't need all of this overbearing nonsense that comes down from the state and politicians.
Thank you. Mrs. Traverso.
I think this probably may not have been a question if it hadn't been for the more recent years of, let's teach to test. And I think the teachers, I guess similar to what Steve is saying, let the teachers do their job. The teachers know within a couple of months into the school year what each student needs. But to sit there and say, we're going to put them in a corner so we can stuff this stuff down their brain so they can pass the test so we can get our monies and our raises and whatever else they get for doing well, I don't think should be happening. I do think that teachers definitely should have a big voice in what goes on as a general rule, not necessarily what needs to go on in the big picture, if that makes sense. I mean, I'm in the school system as well. Some of us are up here, and I see it every day. And sometimes I kind of like when my principal gets to make that decision without me having to say a word. Other times I'd like to be part of that decision. So I guess it can kind of go 50-50 is how I'm looking at it.
Thank you. Mrs. Donald Crehan.
I do think that teachers do need to have more input on what goes on in their classroom and get to have more of a say in things that are more involved in how what their learning curriculum will be on an each day basis. I think that the past 2 years, it's been very difficult because of COVID and everything that's been happening with the virtual situation. I think that hopefully moving forward, there'll be more of an input for them to be more involved. I do agree with Mr. Quinn and what he said about the policies from the politicians and the governors and putting mandates and things like that into play with the teachers and their aspects and putting so much paperwork on their plate that they can't just be teachers anymore. It's very difficult for them. But I do think that hopefully when we move past virtual aspects, we can move forward with more teachers being more involved and getting involved in their curriculum. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Pirali.
I definitely think that teachers should have a major input in what goes on with their students. It also depends on what the problem at hand is. If it's something that's going to affect the entire student body, it's best to put that responsibility on the administration so it does not reflect on them in a negative way. As far as their students go, they know what's best for them. They have to evaluate them. They have to give them tests. They have to make sure they have writing pieces. There's so much involved with SGOs, benchmarks. There's things they get evaluated themselves. There's so much. And they know best what their students' needs are. And if I want to put something in place, I need to get that input from my teachers because they're the ones that are in there every day doing it. So most of the time I learn best from what is the right thing to do based on what they are able to do in their role.
Thank you. Mrs. Torbeck.
I think it's extremely important for the teachers to have a say. I think, as it's been touched on by a couple of people, they're the ones that are in the classroom with our kids every day. They know our kids, they know what works for our kids, what doesn't work. And I think that it's important if you're going to put programs into play, curriculum into play, that they have an input on that. They're the ones that have to do it every day. And I think that the more we can get their creativity into what's being done and hear what they think is going to work best in their classrooms will help us to create better programs for the children.
Thank you. Okay, barring anybody else's question, this is the last question, and then we'll move to closing statements. What issues do you believe our district needs to address in its academic programs and offerings? And what changes would you recommend? Let's start with Mrs. Traverso.
Can you repeat the question again, please?
What issues do you think our district needs to address in academic programs and offerings? And what changes? In other words, do you think there are changes needed? And if so, what are they?
I know this is going to sound a little maybe silly, but I think there's always changes that are needed. But I also know that being in this district for a very long time, the changes that have occurred from the time, my oldest has been in to what my youngest is currently in, And that's over a period of 20-something years. And even my granddaughter. I've seen that, and I've seen it come through in a positive way. Does that mean we've made some mistakes along the way? Sure. Anything specific that I can't give you an answer on that. I don't know that there's a specific academic piece that needs to be done. And I don't, as I said in this question before, I'm not trying to say that testing isn't a good thing, because I do think that testing needs to be done. Again, I do it in my own classroom. I get that. But I just feel that if we need to stop ramming things down their throats, is I guess the way I'm going. So to answer your question straight out, change is always good, and I would accept anything that would come along if it was within the right reasoning.
Thank you. Mrs. Torbeck.
So first, I want to say that I'm really encouraged by some of the recent changes that have happened. I know that we have done some changes with our special ed programs. We've brought in some new programs, created some environments so that we can keep some of our students here in district, and I applaud that. I think that's a really important move for us to keep our kids here in Saddlebrook, but do it properly. And I think that we are definitely moving in the right direction to offer some more choices for our students, no matter what their learning level or interests. With the changes to our Option 2 program that have happened, just the classes that can be offered, I think it's important that we really make sure we stay on top of that, and that our kids are leaving Saddlebrook in the best place to get out in the world and compete with those who came from other places.
Thank you. Mrs. Donald Crehan.
I think that some of the issues that our district faces, I think one issue would be test scores. I think that on a higher level for the high school would be test scores. I think that our district needs to be more competitive with other districts in our test score area. I also do think that mental health, I know that that's something that our district is working on. Thank you, Ms. Violetti. That is something that we are working on, but mental health is a major issue in our town. And I do think that it's very important that it's worked on, especially for children going into college. I also do agree with the special education we are working, but we do need to take it to another level. I do think it's very important. We do need to stop being a revolving door for teachers. We need to stop being a revolving door for administration. It's very important that our district stops. We need to be more challenging in our district for our teachers, and we need to keep our district where we offer our teachers to want to stay. We want to be the district that has teachers that are long lasting.
Thank you. Mrs. Sikamatalis Keller.
So I think that among all the important things that everybody's touched on so far, I think we definitely need to bring more programs to our students, not just programs that will affect both our academic students, the arts, athletic students, life skills, community involvement, because the world is constantly changing out there. So we should be able to prepare these students so that if they're going, college programs or trade school, workforce, we have them prepared. I think one of our issues would be that we should support more to have our students have better critical thinking. And in addition to communication, which I think has definitely improved this year, and hopefully with the stability that I think Mrs. Violetti will be bringing to our schools, we have a new super now. We're able to just set a goal and just move forward.
Thank you. Mr. Quinn?
Yes, we need to keep doing what we've been doing over the last few years. We've added new programs in math, English, and the sciences. We need to continue offering more and more academic programs across the board on all levels for all of our students. One of the things that we need to do is find a way to make the technical schools more available to the students. Right now, they're overcrowded. Every district wants to send more students than we can. That's why one of the reasons I want to get involved on a district or state level is to try and help our students be able to go to these technical schools if they want to and not get shut out of them. We've been making a lot of great progress over the last few years. I'm very confident that our superintendent, Tony Violetti, will continue that. And we just need to keep pressing forward as hard as we can across the board for every single student in our district. And that's what's going to get us to a top 100 school.
Thank you. Mrs. Barali.
Okay, I'm going to follow up with Emily had said. First, we finally have a superintendent that has the knowledge and the experience and has time invested in our school. So I'm hoping that she's here to stay. And with that said, she knows what our academic strengths are and our areas of need of improvement. With that, I'm sure she's aware of many programs that we would like to have come forward, with budget being a restraint, but hopefully now with the COVID CARES Act, we can put some of these programs in place. For example, our special education. We need to bring those students back to district, but we have to do it with the right resources. We have to give them a classroom to do what they need to do in it. And we also have to help our students who are college and career ready figure out where they want to go in life. And the vocational and technical is for other students as well to get their needs of what they want to do and enjoy to do in life.
Thank you. We have one more question, and that is, do you have any conflicts that would hinder your ability to vote or cause you to recuse yourself from voting? Mrs. Sikamatalis, tell us.
Absolutely not. I am running non-conflicted and I can vote on every issue.
Thank you. Mrs. Traverso,
No, I have no conflicts.
Mrs. Barali.
The only conflict I could see is because I'm an administrator, I wouldn't be able to vote on the administration's contract. Other than that, I'm pretty open to anything that would come my way.
Mrs. Donau Creekhan,
I have no conflicts. I can vote on everything.
Mr. Quinn.
The only conflict I have is that my wife is a teacher in another district, so I cannot be involved in negotiations with the teachers. But that's my only conflict.
Thank you. Mrs. Torben.
I have no conflicts.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to closing statements. You have between 1 to 2 minutes. It's as long as you feel that you want to take, but no more than 2 minutes. And we're going in reverse order, which means that Mrs. Barali is first.
Okay, so as all of you know, the Board of Ed plays a critical role in determining our school district's policies. We are very fortunate here in Saddlebrook to live in a community where education of our children are top priority. We do face some significant challenges, none bigger than preparing a budget that allocates sufficient resources to accomplish district goals. If elected, I will make certain that our tax dollars are spent wisely and that the district policy and programs bring value to the classroom. I will encourage the proposal of new initiatives to increase revenue and operate more efficiently while improving the education of our children. I will listen to and reflect on the concerns of our community and work collaboratively with fellow board members to improve our schools. I believe together with all stakeholders that we can find creative solutions to address all our challenges while maintaining a superior quality of education that our children deserve. I am committed to continued improvements that will take our educational system to a higher level. I believe my knowledge and experience and sensible leadership will put our district on the right path to success. It would be an honor to serve again, and I kindly ask you for your vote on November 2nd. And thank you again for your time this evening, and thank you for your moderation.
Thank you. Mrs. Traverso.
Thank you. First of all, I want to wish best wishes and good luck to all of my fellow candidates. It's always a tough decision having something like this. Persistence in the pursuit of fairness when things are simply right versus wrong is a strong and deep quality for succeeding. I promote change where it is due, and I don't give up until I succeed. I will handhold those who ask for help until the results are mutually agreed upon. The backbone to every relationship must stay strong, or the puzzle will break and we will not move forward. If you want to continue seeing the transience of teachers, then do nothing. But contrary, to encourage longevity, transparency, due diligence, and leadership, please vote for me on November 2nd and help me guide the Saddlebrook District.
Thank you. Mr. Quinn.
Yes, thank you very much for moderating this, and to the League of Women Voters, and thank you, PTO, for setting this up. I know that is not an easy task, but it's always worthwhile, I believe. As I said earlier, this is a very exciting and critical time period for our school district. When I started here 9 years ago, it was because I believe we can be a top 100 school district, and that has been my goal ever since. As I said earlier, we're in a very critical and exciting period because we have a chance to make great achievement in the student education and get a long way forward towards becoming a top 100. I don't know if we can make it all the way to a top 100 in 3 years, but if our superintendent, Tony Violetti, will stay for 6 or 8, I believe we can. I'm running because I really want to see this district give its students the education that they deserve. We have to do better for our children. That's what's important. I think everybody here believes that. And I will not stop fighting for the education of our students and for this district to become as best it possibly can be while I'm here. So hopefully you believe me and you'll vote for me come November 2nd, column number 4. And thank you all for coming and or watching, for those of you who are watching on YouTube. Have a great night.
Thank you. Mrs. Sycamore-Tellis.
As an unconflicted candidate, I look forward to bringing a voice, your voice, to the board. We all know that the Board of Education plays a critical role. It was identical. I couldn't believe when you were saying it. In setting the culture of our district. I am here to echo that voice and the concerns of the parents and community, and work with the fellow board members so that we could together improve our schools. With a focus on our students, I believe a fresh set of eyes and some new perspectives, and I'll be hopeful that we could take our education system to a higher level. It would be an honor to serve on the Board of Education. I ask for your vote November 2nd, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mrs. Torbeck.
I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time this evening to join us. I'm grateful for the opportunity for you to get to know me better. I would love the opportunity to use my education, my experience, and my common sense as a parent to put our children first. I hope I can count on your support on November 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mrs. Donna Crehan, if I haven't met.
Thank you to everyone for coming out. I also want to thank the moderator and the PTOs for hosting the event. If I'm elected, I promise to listen, to be your voice, and for the past few years, I think that's what stopped in this district. Most of the people serving on this board have stopped listening, and one of my goals is to help bring the board back to a place of unity. Not everyone is always going to agree, but everyone has to be respectful, and one of my goals is to bring that respect back. For those people on the board and for the people that are going to be voted in, respect is what's deserved. For what's most important and for what's most important to be moved forward for our children. Sorry, I lost my spot. I want the change that makes our district look celebrated. And for the many things that I know we can accomplish in the areas that are lacking now that we need to bring back for our future. I hope that you can find it in your hearts to vote for me for the future of our Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say this is not the easiest thing to do, and I want to thank our candidates and certainly the Board of Ed, Beth, for being in contact with me and my millions of questions. There are 3 positions open, so you vote for 3 candidates. The term is 3 years, And among other things, I'd like to remind you that there's a new voting setup this year. You can either vote by mail, and the last day to apply for a ballot is the 26th of October. You can't register anymore. If you haven't registered, you can't vote in this election. You have something called an in-person early voting. This new option enables all registered voters to cast their ballot in person using a voting machine during a 9-day period prior to Election Day. You can now choose to vote in person when it's most convenient for the schedule. It starts on October 23rd and ends on October 31st. And lastly, you can go to your polling place and vote on the day of the election, which is November 3rd, and that's what we're all used to. There's a question? Oh, it's November 2nd? Thank you for catching me. And goes to show you I better write things down. Okay, thank you very much for coming and for listening, and thank you to our candidates because it's a little bit grueling. And thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
And please get involved with the strategic planning process that will be starting very soon.